The SGR demos and conservationists are at this moment holding demonstrations against the decision to allow the standard gauge railway to pass through the Nairobi National Park. The demo, dubbed Occupy Langata Road, is expected to end with a presentation of a petition to Kenya Wildlife Service Chairman Richard Leakey. Kajiado residents and conservationists are opposed to the phase of the standard gauge railway dissecting and going through the Nairobi National Park, accusing the government of not involving them from the onset. KTN News, Timothy Otieno is covering that story for us, now joins us live. Timothy, it's good to see you. Good afternoon. So what's happening right now?
Good to see you, Sophia. Of course, we are here at the Kenya Wildlife Services, where a group of residents of Kajiado County, as well as conservation stakeholders, have since presented their petition to the Kenya Wildlife Services Director General, Mr. Leakey. And of course, they had led a sort of like a demonstration, a peaceful one, all the way from Nakumatt Galleria, the roundabout along Langata Road, all the way to the Kenya Wildlife Service headquarters here in Nairobi. But of course, they are protesting what they term as what they call demarcation, and an unlawful one at that, of the Nairobi National Park, since the standard gauge railway is expected to pass right into the middle of the park. Of course, this is according to an announcement that was made earlier on this week. Now, the members had, of course, expressed concern about this, saying that it is going to crop into the habitat and the migration of the animals, and considering that the national park is one of the largest, if not the most renowned national park in the region and the continent, they have raised concerns over this. And of course, I'm joined to highlight just more on what this is all about. I am now joined by Sydney Kuntai, who was one of the organizers, and he, of course, he's adorning a very profound red shirt written "Don't Rape the Park." Very profound words. What do you hope this message, which message do you hope this sends out in your efforts?
Well, what we are saying is that we need further consultations to offer alternatives other than going through Nairobi National Park. We are not negotiating on Nairobi National Park whatsoever, whether underground, up, or through Nairobi National Park. There are other areas where the SGR project can be taken to, which will not have as such terrible environmental impacts as Nairobi National Park. We are saying the government knows for sure that there are residents in those areas who need to be consulted before anything is done on the ground. Right now, as we speak, Chinese are already building a station. They are already drilling boreholes. They are already excavating even a whole tunnel at Niangong. This without any consultations with the landowners or any public participation by the public as provided for by the Constitution. Yeah.
You've just presented your petition to Keith Mbari, the Director General here at the Kenya Wildlife Service, and I have a copy of the petition that you're presenting. I'm just going to read one of the clauses that you're saying, that the environmental impact assessment of the standard gauge railway, the second phase of the realignment involving the Nairobi National Park, failed to involve most of the stakeholders, including the local communities, on the impact and how best to mitigate them. The government has insisted that they were using the national park as an alternative to cut down on costs that they would have incurred in compensating industries and residents had they used the alternative route that was the Mlolongo one. Don't you feel perhaps there's a common ground and there's a reason why this should be considered?
That is dishonest, because when you consider the people who are going to be affected should the railway go through Nairobi National Park, the Twala community, the Losirgon community, the Rongai Ngoroi community, the compensation that the government will do, it will be much higher than the difference that they're talking about. This is an area where land is going for more than 10 million an acre. How many acres will they use? And how will they compensate? So if it's an issue of cost, that's a lie. They have not done a proper feasibility study to understand the population density in that area, and what it will take for them to get people. It will be serious displacement of people, a very serious environmental impacts on the ground. So why use Nairobi National Park? Why not use the other 6 routes? Because they had 7 routes. And we are even proposing an 8th and a 9th route, which are alternatives that are less in terms of impacts, sparsely populated. We are not opposing the railway as such. We are not opposing it for the sake of opposing the railway. We are saying the SGR is a development project that is fine, but can it be taken to the right place? Because Nairobi National Park is the wrong place for it. Yeah.
Finally, you had mentioned when you were presenting the petition that the president is expected to flag off the initiation of the second phase later on this month. My question is, and no pun intended, don't you think that these efforts, the train has already left the station? Isn't it a little bit too late, because it appears that the government has already made up its mind in the matter?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think there's still an opportunity to save Nairobi National Park. There's still an opportunity for dialogue. The launching has not been done yet. We were told it would be done within this month, but we're also hearing that it has been postponed to the middle of October. So I believe there is time to negotiate this and get an alternative route that is a win-win situation for everyone. Secondly, I also like to just state here now, this is a government project. And I want to really appeal to the president to hear our voices, to hear our concerns, because we do not wish to see Nairobi National Park killed for the sake of the SGR. Nairobi National Park is a very important park. It is a flagship park for Kenya. And why do we really have to go through Nairobi National Park when the alternatives are available? So please, Your Excellency the President, consider this. Let's not go through Nairobi National Park. Let us look at the other viable alternatives where they really can go.
Thank you very much, Sydney Kuntai. They are one of the organizers of today's demonstration. Of course, Sophia, this is not the first time this is happening. Last year, the same group, as well as other civil society groups, had opposed an initial agreement between the National Lands Commission, the Kenya Wildlife Service, and the Kenya Railways in regards to using the northern section of the park. But of course, the groups had gone to court to challenge that. Of course, the court sided with the government and construction had begun within the northern part. But this is another phase 2 that is going to be affect about 6 kilometers, as the director had informed us earlier on. That's going to be affecting 6 kilometers into the national park. We're going to be waiting and see whether this petition will be yielding any meaningful fruits moving forward, Sophia.
Indeed, Timothy, and it really is an issue of concern, because this is the only park in the world that's in a capital city. And you're talking about just some of what we've seen affect the park in as far as the railway, but we also remember the southern bypass has hived off land from that. And so there's those who feel that this is the beginning of the end. Just what you're asking the gentleman you're interviewing, that hasn't the train already left, you know, and that this is now a little too late in as far as their efforts are concerned. So do you sense there's that realization briefly that at the end of the day they are speaking out, but really nothing is going to happen?
Well, there is a sense of that, but also what I'm seeing from the mood of the people who are demonstrating mid-morning and into the afternoon was that, of course, they are realizing that indeed the train may have left the station, but they want to be in the right side of history as the people who spoke out, as the people who pointed out that indeed this was wrong, and as the people who stood on the right side of history. But of course, as it stands, this petition has garnered about 300 signatures, according to what I was being told by Mr. Kuntai just a few minutes ago. 300 signatures from individuals from the larger Kajiado County constituency and members of the conservation of the wildlife in the country. But as it appears, Sophia, the train may have left the station. But as it stands, there is a chance and there is hope. And that is what these people are clinging to, that if they are able to keep their voices heard in this matter, if they're able to express and raise their concerns and say, you know what, the government, what you're doing may not be right. There are alternative routes, and this petition is actually highlighting an alternative route that is expected to pass through Ngong Hills, that they are saying may avoid what is expected to take place within the national park. And they're saying, of course, if the government is indeed insisting that funds are the challenge that is going to present itself before this matter, they are saying that they are even willing to mobilize Kenya, perhaps through a mobile service PIN number for contributions, just to ensure that the standard gauge railway keeps off the Nairobi National Park, Sophia.
Thank you so much, Timothy Otieno, for us live from the KWS with that comprehensive update on the protests there, and of course the key